morning, viewer. Beyond the Seer. It's breaking news. Yes, scientists still are not sure how neurological symptoms arise in COVID-19. Is it because SARS-CoV-2 infects in the brain, or are these symptoms the result of inflammation in the rest of the body? A study by Charité Berlin has now produced evidence to support the latter theory. It was published today in the journal Nature Neuroscience. Headaches, memory problems and fatigue are just some of the neurological impacts that arise during coronavirus infection and can last well beyond the acute period. Even early on the pandemic, researchers surmised that direct infection of the brain could be the cause. We took that as our hypothesis at the start too, but so far there has been no clear evidence that the coronavirus can persist in the brain, let alone proliferate, explains Dr. Helena Radbranch, head of the Chronic Neuroinflammation Working Group at the Department of Neuropathology at Charité. For that, we would have needed to find evidence of intact virus particles in the brain. For example, instead, the indications that the coronavirus could infect the brain come from indirect testing methods, so they are not entirely conclusive. According to a second hypothesis, the neurological symptoms would instead be a kind of side effect of the strong immune response the body deploys to defend against the virus. Past studies have produced indication that this might be the case. The current Charité study now bolsters this theory with detailed molecular biology and anatomical results from autopsies. For the study, the team of researchers analyzed various areas of the brain in 21 people who died in hospital settings, typically in an ICU due to severe coronavirus infection. For comparison, the researchers studied 9 patients who died of other causes after treatment in intensive care. First, they looked to see whether the tissue showed any visible changes and hunted for any indication of coronavirus. Then they conducted a detailed analysis of genes and proteins to identify the specific processes that had taken place inside individual cells. Like other teams of researchers before them, the Charité scientists found coronavirus genetic material in the brain in some cases. Amazing! But we did not find neurons infected with SARS-CoV-2. Radbranch notes. We assume that immune cells absorb the virus in the body and then travel to the brain. They are still carrying the virus, but it does not infect cells of the brain. So coronavirus has invaded other cells in the body, but not the brain itself. Still, the researchers did not striking changes in molecular processes in some cells of the brain in those infected with COVID-19. For example, the cells ramped up the interferon signaling pathway, which is typically activated in the course of a viral infection. Some neurons evidently react to the inflammation in the rest of the body, says Professor Christiana Cornat, head of the Intelligent Imaging Working Group in the Berlin Institute of Health and Charity and one of the principal investigators in study. Along with Radbranch, this molecular reaction could be a good explanation for the neurological symptoms we see in COVID-19 patients. For example, neurotransmitters emitted by these cells in the brainstem could cause fatigue. That's because the brainstem is home to groups of cells that control drives, motivation and mood. Then report.